To what impact do the effects of climate change affect adolescent development? Each and every day, the earth and mankind is affected by climate change. The human world is built on industry and factories processing goods. But these factories release toxins and pollutants. Not only the environment, but human health is also at risk. There needs to be a course of action taken to stop the potential impacts of climate change. My claim is, adolescents are affected by climate change due to their mental health, physical bodies, and the constantly changing environment due to man-made activities. Climate change is influencing damaging effects on the mental and physical well-being of adolescents. Some of these mental diseases include depression, anxiety, and stress that could potentially lead to substance abuse. The brain is vital to human survival, and our generation are the test subjects to just how harmful climate change can be. Depression, anxiety, and stress could grow into potential dangers. But not only is mental health affected, but physical well-being is as well. Especially for infants and toddlers, they take in oxygen, food, water close to their body size, more than the average adult. Toxins being released in the air and water could potentially be harmful to infants as they're more sensitive to pollutants. Here I have a chart explaining the climate drivers, exposure pathways, and health outcomes, like increased temperatures, precipitation extremes, leading to extreme heat, poor air quality, and then the health outcomes, health-related illness, cardiopulmonary illness, food, water, vector-borne disease, or mental health consequences and stress. Every year, an area of forest equal to the whole surface of the United Kingdom is destroyed. At the present rates of clearance, we shall, by the year 2000, have removed 65% of forests in the humid tropical zones. Thatcher 18. Margaret Thatcher, speaking at the United General Nations Assembly, is now leading me into my next effect of climate change, the environment. Today, more than 80% of forests have been cut down or destroyed. This limits the amount of oxygen being released and increases carbon dioxide in the air. Also connecting back to what was said before, adolescents take in the amount of oxygen as their body size more than the average adult. Less oxygen is produced could pose a threat to the breathing habits of adolescents, as well as the rise of carbon dioxide increases temperature. Moving on to my next point in rising temperatures. The Aedes aegypti is a tropical mosquito that is one of the main characters of dengue fever. Dengue fever is a flu-like disease that initially causes fever, but then can lead to organ damage, severe bleeding, and death. The rising temperatures allow the incubation period for the disease to develop much quicker. Here I have a chart of the wild Aedes aegypti. It bites the infected person, the mosquito ingests blood with the dengue virus, and it takes about 8 to 10 days for the dengue virus to incubate. But the rising temperatures, the 8 to 10 days can be shortened to 5 or 6. As well as the dengue-infected mosquito bites another person, and that person gets the disease 13 days later. The environment and human health are being affected, changes are being made. Across most of the United States, climate change is expected to affect fresh water and marine water sources in ways that will increase people's exposure to water-related contaminants that cause illness. Connecting back to what was said before, infants drink water as much as their body size. Climate change is affecting fresh water and causing toxins within the water. Toxins can be very silent but deadly. Leading into, the United States needs to take a stand against climate change. Researching renewable energy sources and reducing power plant emissions could be truly beneficial. Some may argue we aren't completely to blame for climate change. In fact, the experts behind this study attribute up to 50% of the ice loss in the past 37 years to natural climate variables. This shows that natural variables are also playing a role in the rising temperatures and the loss of ice is the example used here. But this is found not to be true. Tens of thousands of scientists in more than 100 nations have amassed an overwhelming amount of evidence pointing to a clear conclusion: humans are the main cause. We are the ones who burn the fossil fuels and clear trees that absorb carbon dioxide, sending heat-trapping gases into the atmosphere. Humans are burning fossil fuels, cutting down trees, and releasing gas in the air. It is our responsibility to take action. Possible solutions could be research for renewable energy sources and reducing power plant emissions. But the limitations to these is research is very expensive and would be very time consuming. As well as reducing power plant emissions, this may slow down production, and as our world runs on the means of production, this would not be an option. My second more plausible solution is carpooling and taking public transportation. This solution has no limitations, as we need to come together as a citizenship and stop the effects of climate change. We are not the Lord's, we are the Lord's creatures, the trustees of this planet, charged today with preserving life itself, preserving life in all its mystery and wonder.
Okay, a couple of questions for you, Kate. The first one is, how valid and reliable are the sources you've used? How do you know? And which sources didn't work?
I think my sources are very reliable. I got a lot of my information from the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, which are government research sources. A source that did not work for me is I did find research that carbon dioxide isn't the only cause of rising temperatures, but I found that to not be very strong in my rebuttal, and I used other research instead.
Okay, and your second one is, what additional questions emerged from your research, and why are these questions important?
I think the more questions is, as our generation develops, to see the actual effects of climate change and to see evidence of what is going to happen as through research, because scientists are basically making hypotheses at this point, but as our future generations develop, it brings into question what could actually happen.
Okay, good.